Hey guys, and welcome to my channel and all that good stuff. Now today we're going to be discussing a little bit into a few changes that I made in some scripts, and they're not exactly real simple. Well, they are simple, but you might be interested in them. Is like I always say, if you've got to write code multiple times and you're going to be using that across the board, then it's probably going to be something that you're going to be building upon. So, not too long from now, or not too short from now, I'm working on it. We actually have a scriptable object used for some of this general stuff that we use every day and across the board on multiple different weapons. Multiple different weapons that we use for ray casting and things like that, they often take a layer mask. Okay, it's common and everything, but the problem with using a layer mask and the variable is, well, I'm cool with using a layer mask and everything else, but I have all these weapons, okay, and well, every single one of these scripts all have layer masks. So if I wanted like about 10 different scripts in there, it's going to pull a variable out of memory 10 times. Okay? And I'm not really that keen, and I don't really like that. I think it's kind of stupid. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I think it's dumb. So, what I did was I took this scriptable object class, okay, and I made it so that it does my layer mask and it holds my bullets. And I need a little bit of offset. For some reason, my bullets sink in a little bit into the mesh, so I put this offset here. And this layer mask gun script is exactly a script that I made just for this. It holds my decals, okay, like a bullet. The bullet does the, well, it's actually not the bullet, it's the decal on the wall that it just shoots by. So my gun script is, it's getting very, very close to being done. So we're going to have some weapon systems and stuff. And I've been profiling them pretty heavily. As you can see right here, I got my profiler. But I'm going to get rid of this, not have it engaged, so it's not pulling memory and stuff. And, I mean, it sounds like something that we could be using, right? So, before I get too distracted and everything else, let's get into our nice little code. Bloop. Alright. Alrighty, boys. Now, I made a few changes in my script and things like that. Is for this 308 and stuff. I have a key for stir and a few other things. I've got our animation override controller and a little void, but we're not going to really discuss those today because I'm still writing into this when I have time. That's the thing. So we shoot and stuff, and we do our ray hits, sort through it and everything else. And I actually have a functionality here that's bullet hole. This is a variable. I think this is only called, as in for final references, bullet hole, abstract class. Yeah, it's actually a variable. I've got a permanent variable for this. It's in the base class. Do I have that base class open? Then we got a puller, light gunner, body animator. Ooh, here it is. Sniper rifle. I have layer mask. This is for the scriptable object, so we can use it. Okay. And kick and all that good stuff. So where's my bullet hole? Did I place it? I placed it in this game object virtual function right here that's tag. Okay, I placed it right here. Okay, and when I did the virtual function, I just put a new game object in here. We're overwriting this in the other script anyway, so it doesn't matter what you put here, but you have to put something or it will give you a compiler error. So that's our variable. Now, you're probably like, well, what's this other stuff? We got bullet hole, and then we do hit.transform.tag. This is basically nothing but a string. Okay? This is nothing but a string. It's no different from me just putting a string here. Okay? So, public override game object, bullet hole, tag, and then we got a switch statement in here. Okay? A switch is based on a tag. Okay? So, I go case dirt. If I got a dirt tag and it hits dirt, it's going to give a dirt bullet hole, a dirt or a metal. And if it's not metal or dirt, it automatically falls to the default behavior. Automatic default of the normal bullet. So if it's not tagged something metal or bullet or whatnot, it just goes to the normal stuff. And I like this functionality just because of I don't have to have a tag for every single thing. It gives it something to fall back on. So I do a temporary game object, and I go game object dot instantiate bullet hole, because my bullet hole variable right here is filled in from here. We can have this null right in the beginning of the game, and because of this function right here, it will return a game object before it executes this. If you have it below this instantiation, it will give you an error and all that good stuff. And then I do hit dot point plus weapon layer dot offset, and then the raw, which is this variable right here, variable rot quaternion from to rotation vector 3 dot up plus hit dot normal. Now you're probably like, well, why don't you just plus it up here? Well, the reason why I don't do it up here is because I just want the rotational stuff. Okay? This is messing with the rotation, not the positioning data. Okay? So we need it here. Don't get confused when it comes to the rotation and the positioning. Okay? And then we use the temp to transform, and then we use it to parent it to a game object. Okay? Because a lot of times when you hit a person, like people, you want to parent that game object to the person so that the bullet hole on the person where the blood stain will stay there. You'll actually get a particle or whatnot. Now, I'm not saying this will be a particle or not, but if you really wanted to, you can go down here, and this will probably be a thing, is case, and then you'll put a string here. Okay? Player. Okay? And then you'll return weapon layer dot player if you had one. Okay? I'm going to put dirt here for now because I don't have one for a player. But this doesn't have to be a mesh like your other ones. This can actually be a particle system for blood. You shot a person, they bleed. That's all cool. So it doesn't really care if it's a particle or a mesh for a bullet hole or whatever you want. You could put another model of a person there. The actual code doesn't work, so it's very flexible. Now, you're probably thinking, well, this is only for bullet holes. No, it's not. You can actually use this for anything that you need to return an object, as long as you have a case for it. So, let's say hypothetically, I wanted a how can I put this? I want a footprint on the ground. Okay. Well, for a footprint on the ground, I would probably use an object pool. You know, have it do like, I don't know, 20 maybe. So every single time you hit the ground with your foot, you actually put a ray cast there and you place it the footprint on the ground, and all you'd have to do is put I would put it really a lot smaller, because here's the thing. Make sure that these are very short, okay? Because the longer they are, the more they cost to string compare, okay? Like in my game, for metal, I would probably put something like this. Dirt, D, foot P, just put FTP, okay? Because this will make this run faster. Now you don't have to, but if you're lacking performance, I would start looking at something like this. Just a little tip. So you'll get this, because remember, these are instantiating every single time you shoot the ground. You know. But also another thing, if you don't want to do something like the instantiate here, you've only got this one code to change, okay? You'd only have to put your object pool code right here. Alright? Not a big deal whatsoever. Or wherever you're getting your game object. Maybe you want to instantiate them in the beginning and then just go at it. That's fine. But you have a single place to look for it. And this variable is permanent. It's only to get the game object out of memory. Okay? It's basically like a pointer, telling it, hey, do this. This is what this is. And to be honest with you, if I was going to do an object puller, I've done it in the past where I've used a string to get the bullet. Don't use the string. Use the game object itself. And then go, hey, guess what? Give me this. And then it returns the game object. If you use the key, the actual game object, it's faster. Pulling it out of dictionary is faster with a game object than there is a string, unless the string is very small. Like I was saying here, keep your strings very small. Don't put some lengthy name in there like Mississippi or Washington or some 32-bit number. That's just, it's not gonna work. And to be honest with you, if you really got heavy with it and you had a lot of cases like this, what I would do is start using a number, because you can use 1 through 99 and you'd have 99 different cases, and the comparison for that would be very small, so it'd be very quick. Very quick. So what did I work on? Oh, my in our code, I changed quite a few things. We used to have this as a interface. I changed it to a class, okay? And when we do like heavy rifles, we have the heavy rifle, the abstract class that we inherit all our weapons from. You know, like if it's a heavy weapon, we inherit from heavy rifles. Okay? And this gives us the ability to, instead of using an interface, we go to the base class and do bam. We just call the base class version. Like I was telling, said in the video blog, video, these functions right here are just basically pointer stuff, so we can plug into the system without tying in our inputs or anything like that. Our weapons should not care about our input system, keeping them out. And whenever we need to fire, aim, walk, close, or anything like that, all we have to do is call these functions. And whenever we need to plug into them, like for shooting or whatnot, and our NPC stuff, all we'd have to do is do exactly like we do in our weapon system. Okay? Is aim. We got weapons action dot aim walk. Boom. There you go. All that stuff. It's all done for us. All we gotta do is call the functions. And like you seen, this weapon actions thing, it doesn't care that it doesn't care what class it is as long as it's a weapon action class. Basically, in the sense, we'll be able to access all the weapons in the game and tell them to fire if we wanted to. It doesn't care. It doesn't care that it's a sniper rifle. It doesn't care it's a heavy rifle, a machine gun, a Gatling gun, or anything. Now, the only thing that cares about the classes and stuff like that is our light rifle class thing. When it hits this switch, weapon switch, does cases. These cases go to a slot. If we get to here, it will not do anything whatsoever. It'll basically tell our game system not to spawn the weapon, not to accept it, not to do anything. So it makes it very flexible. And see, this case right here, I'm using integer for the types. Case 1, 3, 4. And these don't have to be in order, okay? You can have case 1 and 4 only in here, and it's not going to care. Okay, it doesn't care what it is as long as there's a case for it. You don't have to go in order. It could be case 3 here, case 1. This cannot exist whatsoever, and it doesn't care. Because if it's not there, it just goes right to the default behavior and does whatever you programmed your default behavior to do. Now in our, did I make, no, our mouse class does exactly what it's supposed to do. Which, in all honesty, I think it's kind of dumb that it has to be an update. Ugh, that's ridiculous. So what's the other stuff that I could talk to you guys about that I made changes for? Oh, you wanted to, we're going to want to see that layer class. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so here's my weapon layer class. Okay, weapon layer is just a layer mask, and it's a scriptable object, or offset, and a game object, and a game object. Very, very simple. Okay, and the reason, I don't know if I actually said this or not, the reason why I'm using a scriptable object is because internally Unity is supposed to be only pulling one variable thing out of memory. It's basically like a pointer. Okay, so you're not instantiating it. Let's say if you have 100 weapons, that's only going to instantiate this into memory one time, because it's only going to go to this, and that's the whole reason why I want to use this. And two, I think it's kind of dumb to sit there and keep writing the same thing over and over and over again. If you're doing it over and over again, it's time for a variable or a specific class to do something. Like like this, okay? This fine object and my raycast thing. In all honesty, I think I'm going to be moving this into a class, because there's no reason why this can't be its a specific class. I can put this sniper. I put this a sniper ray, okay, and have all the logic that I want for a sniper rifle to be in here, okay. It does all its, inaccuracies and stuff like that. I can have it do all of its necessary functionality for it. And when I call Ray, all I gotta do is put the class in here and do the stuff. I think that will work better than what we have here. Just like this game object thing. This could be a completely just a regular class that does just this, okay? Which it probably will, okay? So we can get rid of a multiple bunch of copies of certain things. This aim variable, this can be a moving class, which I currently am working on how I'm going to do our how can I put this, our aiming behaviors, scopes and stuff like that, because I'm currently looking in the best solution to tie in the UI with what scope we want to select in game. Like, hey, you have this weapon right here. What weapon are we going to use with what scope? And then each scope is going to have its own vectors and stuff like that. So that's what I'm currently working on myself. We've got these bools changing and all that good stuff. On enable, parenting, yeah, okay. Oh yeah, and yeah, we are doing it that way, aren't we? If this variable is not correct, it will, instead of doing something like this, interpolating a vector 3. Now I'm going to delete this because I truly don't need it. And this shooting variable is decided by our function that we call, and the function is called in a bool Yeah, right here. This bool, and it passes a variable. This function is actually being called by our event system. In the long haul, it's being decided by our event system. Now the event system I rewrote because I thought it sucked the kind of way that it was. So I decided to rewrite it in such a way. Still have most of our events in a different variety of them, but our update is written in a different way. There's our change one. It just calls change. If run values are true, we can do these variables. Okay, input get button down, speed. It'll call this and tell the aiming animation thing, or it's for, you know how we do our running and everything in a different animator than the gun? Well, we tell the variable, hey, start a running animation, and then we return. Okay, because I wanted to exit out of this early and not execute any of these codes whatsoever. Now this is for our aiming, and it also passes a bool variable if we're running. Okay, and it sets it and all that good stuff. And here's our firing one for shooting. Notice how I put it in this thing. So if running equals true, then it's not going to let us do other stuff. Okay. If running equals true. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's kind of a little backwards on my logic. I've been meaning to fix that too. Now, don't do a variable like this, get key down. And the reason why is because it will call it every single frame. It's really weird like that. Do get key down and then pass the stuff into it. Now if running equals false, which basically means we're walking, okay, then it'll tell everything that, hey, actually this is running. In my character controller I have it backwards, so my logic is backwards. This basically says, hey, we've quit running and now we're walking. This function just takes us out of the running state and back into walking. And I have this in none of these running or walking variables. So this is being called every single frame. All three of these. Okay. Now I have different versions of it just because whichever one we're using. If we just use vertical, then we use vertical. If we're using both, then we do both. I'm going to be eliminating these later. I just have them there for now just for extra functionality. Because, hey, maybe we want horizontal to be around and vertical by themselves. And two, if nothing's subscribed to it, it won't run. So that's basically a lot of the changes that I've made into our little game here. So really, I don't think there's anything else that we could possibly speak upon. Oh, besides, I did a lot of refactoring, as in, here's Here's abstract classes. I called this an abstract class because this is not meant to be written into or nothing like that. Interfaces, slot anim, or we do animational stuff and things like that. Now I have started working on getting an interaction system working, where we will be using this to work with getting vehicles and stuff. So that is coming. And I have player logic, okay, for running all that stuff. Scope, which I'm writing in, working on the best way to do this from the UI standpoint and everything, so we can have scopes. We can select different scopes, make our weapon customization. And then our weapon logic, I started working on separating these into, their own little folders and stuff. Things of that nature. Because we may want different variations of hand-to-hand, or different variations of heavy weapons, things of that nature. So they're all starting to sort, and that's the important part that I tried to push onto you guys. Make sure you have your scripts in a very organizational fashion. So I think I'm going to let you guys go on that. So this is Wardon, over and out. And have a nice day, guys. Thank you very much for your time.